doing this, your employees are going to start using it anyways. So it's either you better jump on the bandwagon now, or suffer the consequences later. So I work with a lot of that in helping them get onboarded, because so many companies still are hesitant to use it because they're just like, we don't know really what it does or what information is taking from our stuff. And I have to show a lot of stuff. But other than that, I also do stuff for like teens and kids, so like video game design, website design, photos, things like that. So that's the fun stuff, right? Like that's the fun stuff. The business stuff is just a lot of like policies and procedures. So boring adult stuff. So yeah. All right, so this is the yearly agenda right now. January is still up in the air. I thought I would put that there just because that is sort of a big thing now. Actually, I saw that there is a newsletter meetup now in Austin. I think October 5th. So if you're into that industry of creating newsletters and sort of creating like a second or third income stream, that is a big deal. So there are a lot of people at the first one that had it, and there were so many people creating interesting newsletters. One does like emergency services around the country, so like different things to be aware of. Another one does stuff for pets, like conferences and events and festivals and things like that. And so that's a huge thing that's growing as well. So there's a lady I know who does pet costumes, and she wants to get into Shopify and sell all that stuff. And I thought, like, well, cool, like get that newsletter going. So obviously you've heard of Substack, Beehive. Of course, the old ones are like MailChimp, but these are all like evolving, right? Like they're trying to make it easier and easier. But I realized like Substack is kind of expensive because they take like 10% for every transaction you have. So if you have a paying customer, they take 10% right off the top, which is a lot, because if you're making, let's say, $600,000 a month, which is common for Substack people, that's 10% right there, So Beehive does not do that. They do basically a model where they charge basically just processing fees. So that in a sense is like a little easier to deal with, but I know Luma has a newsletter component built in. So if you use that, then you can start using their services. But again, the idea is to sort of monetize, right? Like if you don't monetize your newsletter, Substack is completely free, and you can go to 1 million, 10 million, whatever. So, but yeah, I added it on there, so we'll see how far it goes. But yeah. All right. So I have some digital nomad news here because I found these very interesting. So who here used Indie Hacker? Who's familiar with that place? Really?
You've mentioned it before.
Yeah. So Indie Hacker is sort of like that community of like anti-startups. Do y'all know what that sort of means? Anti-startup world? Okay. All right. So we are going to go into that world of anti-startups, and I will show you. This is Indie Hacker, just for reference. Like if you go over here, you're going to see a lot of articles, things people are working on. So basically the term of like anti-startup are people who basically, they don't want to start up, but they just want a side income. They want like, extra revenue coming in. So what I found was this one right here. 43-year-old lives on a boat, launched many people across the Atlantic. And it just goes into like what he was working on, how did he do it, where did the inspiration come from, and it shows his journey, what was he doing. And you start to realize, like, man, there's so many different ways of running businesses now. It's not necessarily a startup, but it just produces like a side income.
I'm sorry, what does he do? He lives on a boat? He works on a boat?
Lives on a boat. And launched an MVP.
Okay.
All across the line.
On a yacht.
Yeah, on a yacht. Yeah, so
Okay.
sort of like the digital nomad dream, right? Like you're on a boat, problem is
He made his first $2 million stuff in LA buying yachts.
Yeah, and so he eats a lot of fish. Which sounds cool right now, right? But like you see it every day, and there's a family on YouTube that they live on a sailboat and travel the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
Their kids go swimming every day, and they eat fish now, So. But the other one right here that's really interesting is this. There's a lot of couples out there as well who have double incomes, and they're bringing their skill sets together, right? Like they're doing these things, and they're launching like SaaS products, which now because we have AI tools to do that, you scale so much faster, right? Like you can build things so much faster. And so for them, it was all about like, okay, how can we reduce our costs? How can we start to reduce our expenses? And this is, are you here for Nomad? Yeah, come on in. There's a sign-in sheet right there. And that was what they were working on. So there's a cool little video here that I'm gonna play.
Let's see, yeah, Wi-Fi go.
It should be the center graphic.
Guess going on.
Or is the guess working? There should
What
also
I
be a
believe.
guess one.
Is it, how many guess?
I think it might be Capital Factory guess.
Capital Factory,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's 7 universe.
So,
Oh, it's
yeah, yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna turn this on. Hopefully it works.
And this is the best part of it. Notice this clean out of the parameters, see what others are doing and start copy pasting. And this is your journey's biggest lesson. By being limited, the limitations become your biggest asset. But while the journey hacked their way to $200 million a year, there's a whole new wave of builders that don't care about building the next unicorn company. A whole new subculture of people that want to build tech products just to get freedom, peace of money, and a good life without all the headaches of managing a huge company. And this is indie hacking. $2,000 a month, $4,000 a month, $40,000 a month.
So if we look right here, a lot of people are going on to Twitter. It's Twitter here, by the way. And they're posting like their monthly revenue that they're making. And they're showcasing like, hey, these are all the little mini companies that I'm running, and this is how much I'm bringing in per month. So why do they do that?
$2,000 a month.
So right here, this is another guy, he just showed like, hey, this is what I'm working on. What is he doing? He's a Flutter dev. Is that a thing? Is Flutter a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Okay. Okay, so Flutter is basically just drag and drop coding, right? Like you're just putting modules
$4,000
together.
a month.
So again, you have right here all these different ones, and you notice like there's the website now, and then you have a little like, hey, click me. So there's all kinds of like things.
$40,000 a month. These are some of the Twitter, X bios of India. A new breed of tech entrepreneurs that is taking a whole different approach to building. They don't dream of changing the world or disrupt the market. They just want to use technology to build a small but profitable business that solves a very specific problem and live a good life from. Oh, and possibly not just one, but dozens of people.
All right, yeah. So again,
But at the same time, and without needing to hire anyone. If you go to the Indie Hackers website or Reddit or Product Hunt, you find thousands of people launching new products at a staggering rate by focusing on the basics, no fancy design, little to no marketing, and doing everything on their own by recycling code between projects. And just to be clear, this is not a few $100 from a side project. $38,000 a month with an AI zero design tool. $100,000 a month with a design as a subscription service. $51,000 a month with a tool that helps others build their own indie hacker project. This one is so better. And the key idea behind indie hacking is building technology. Documenting the journey instead of hiding secretly and then doing a big reveal. Sharing transparently how much you're making. And not only the successes, but the failures as well, and learning from each other. And some people have gotten to the point where they're making really good money from indie hacking. Peter Levels, one of the most famous indie hackers, has made $2 million a year without any employees, just building and running.
so he does this quite a bit. So if you know Peter Levels, he was in Austin, I think a month or two ago.
YouTube.
Yeah, so yeah, he's done a lot of that stuff, but he shows like what he's working on, right? Like photo AI, he was just like, hey, I'm gonna jump on this AI thing, and he built a little, company out of that, and now this is what every single one of those is bringing into him, per month.
So, are a lot of these indie projects open source?
Yep.
Is there a trend?
Yeah.
They're all open source?
So again, what you heard before was a lot of these are just recycling code. Like they're just grabbing code that other people have done, and then they're just putting it into repositories that people can grab and be like, hey, I can build off of this, and then just do another project, right? Like if you go into Facebook's Meta Labs, there's tons of code that you can pull from if you're trying to do translations, if you're trying to do like AI imaging, things like that. It's all open source, right? You can go in there, play with it, test it out, and if you want to incorporate it into your business, by all means, that's what it's there for. So stuff like this, again, he's not trying to change the world, he's just building a better life for himself, right? Like these are small bubbles of income compared to like what we know as like big conglomerates of Walmarts and Amazons and things like that. So if anybody had an income of just the first one, how many here would be happy with that, right? So again, you can go in.
So he's a one-man shop.
He's a basically one-man shop, yeah. But he was a
She
coder
was
before.
interviewable. Search for him on what's his name,
Yeah.
get the interview with that techie. Who's the guy who's now based in Austin, does these interviews?
You mean Joel?
No, the guy
That's
who's
Stevens?
Huh?
Lex Friedman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a big MIT professor.
Yep,
He's
that's
in
right.
Austin, yeah.
Okay,
Go
so
see that.
he's a smart coder to begin with.
Well, he started off as a coder, but now that we have AI now you're starting to realize like that's bringing in a whole new industry in product,
So
right?
the fact that he can multiply himself and do more and
Yeah.
A lot of stuff now is AI, just makes the API calls and framework.
Project from his laptop, laptop, a portal where you can see where are the best places to live and work from.
Yeah.
In the past, you were either an employee of some tech company, or you could start your own company by becoming CEO and hiring a bunch of people with all the responsibilities and headaches that came with it. And with a small glimmer of hope that you would hate it today. But this is a new alternative that's emerging for people to still build something of their own, but without having the need to change the world or disrupt the market in the process. And all these stories are telling us something very interesting about the future of tech. For the last decade, tech companies funded with tens of millions of dollars in investments became the norm, and this will still happen. But venture capital funding peaked at the end of 2021. And if before that anyone with an idea could get millions thrown at them, today the story is different. And many people, just like David Holt, are realizing that you can still build something big and meaningful from scratch, and without asking money to anyone and not gaining full control of it. And sometimes this can be your secret weapon to win versus anyone. Or you can build something the indie hacker way. Join life, still building something meaningful, the trust. But there's
Alright, I'm gonna stop right there, but I do wanna go into some of the ones that he did mention. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so this one is very interesting. This was the last one he talked about. Basically what they do is they just build your company for you. Like you just tell them what you're trying to do, they go in, build everything, and then they send you the finished product. Like that's why he said like this is very meta, right? Like you're asking them to build your company, and their job or their company is to build companies, right? And then they just send you everything, and like here's your stuff, this is the bill. Now you have your app, your website, your newsletter, your your social media, all this stuff. It's all built out for you.
So he's a
Done.
software development firm.
Well, this firm is. Yeah, this is one of the
This
examples.
is one that he built here.
I don't know who built this.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But these were the examples that he was talking about. This is another one, Design Joy. So basically, it's a design agency with a subscription. So you basically just go in and say like, hey, I need a whole bunch of branding, and you pay a subscription model, and you can use them as many times as you want. And then when you're done, you can pause it or just cancel it, and then that's it. So if you need to go back and get more artwork or more stuff, you can use their services as many times as you want, versus hiring somebody and paying them per project, right? So they go in and then basically just throw a subscription model on it. So, and then the other one right here is Interior AI, which is basically just saying like, hey, take some pictures of your house. We will use AI to show you how to do interior design, and then we will do some color palettes, some furniture, some looks, styles, artwork, things like that, and then there you go. And how much did they say this was making a month? This was 51,000 a month. Is that good money? I don't know. Yeah. So, but yeah, this all right here gives you an idea of what's like. These are small little companies compared to so many other things out there. But again, they're not trying to change the world. They're just building something, right? So they just offer a quick service. So if we look at what Their Levels has, Photo AI. He again jumped on the bandwagon. He went in there, and that's it, right? So he goes in, uploaded your stuff, adds some AI magic, and now it looks amazing. People sign up for it, and you're done. So who here could do that as well? Anybody can do this, right? Yeah, exactly, right?
And then I'll
Like,
post
hands
it on
should be-
Twitter, and I'll get followers. That's what a lot
Right.
of people do to build up their follower counts.
Right, exactly.
Like
Say
in
that
AI.
again.
What?
Say that part again.
Follower counts?
Yeah, what did you say before that?
They post it on Twitter.
Right. And do they do that because?
They do that to build the follower
There you
count,
go,
and
right.
they can then monetize it.
Exactly,
Right?
yes.
Also all about money.
You build your community, and then that community is waiting for the floodgates to open, and then you release the product, and now they're just like, I have to sign up, I have to use this. Like, you've been talking about it for months, and there it is. So, again, it's a wrapper, so we talked about wrappers before. Probably it's just an API call to OpenAI, and that's it, so,
What do you mean by that?
a wrapper.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, go into detail on that, please. It's very
So,
important.
a wrapper basically is, let's say I have an AI that builds model planes, right? But I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm just calling OpenAI's API call system and using their information to do about, hey, look up, yeah, there's a sign-in sheet button. So my company is basically just built on OpenAI's information. Like I didn't really build anything, I just went in and tweaked the models, and my company just does that. But again, I'm using OpenAI's ChatGPT system to do all that stuff. So I put a wrapper on top of that. And if you notice, there's so many companies that are doing that. They're either like, I'm an engineering firm AI studio, right? Like I'm a studio filmmaking AI, and if you ask, did they build their own models, or is it just pulling from OpenAI's API, right?
That's a good thing.
You tell me, like if everybody's
Yeah, there's
pulling,
pluses and minuses.
if everybody's pulling from the
Security
same water source,
Yeah, sure. Eventually it will,
yeah, they all look the same, right?
that like,
And
the
then you-
tokens, right, that's where that'll.
Then you also start to get Me Too's, right? So I mean.
Of course, gotta be first.
Yeah.
Come in
Yeah, so
first.
he does it, and it seems to me that's why he keeps doing newer
And keeps
ones,
changing it,
because
so it gets old quick.
somebody else will quickly build the same thing and.
Right, like what's stopping a
Very fast.
15-year-old from looking at that and being like, hey, show me the code for this and tell me how to do it, and then ChatGPT will just go in and be like, hey, this is how it's built. Like how many times have y'all watched people now show you how to take photos of a website, you give it to ChatGPT, it builds the code, gives it back to you, and now you have the same website, right? Like, what's the point of a web developer, right? So now all of a sudden you can look at these things and be like, okay, cool, what do I do next, right? And you can ask ChatGPT, it's like, okay, cool, now you need to do an open API call, and it's like, okay, cool, I have no idea what that means, tell me what to do, right? And now you're just going back and forth in the conversation and just walks you through the steps.
But they're not publicly open sourcing their whole development process until they actually have a product, right?
Are you talking about OpenAI?
It's just for
This guy,
on
right?
Indie Hacker, right? Like if I'm coming up with another AI photographer, you wouldn't open source the entire code as you're developing your product. Perhaps you might market yourself on Twitter talking about the features, but not actually public your GitHub repository, because then
It's up to you how you want to build your code, right?
interesting.
How did this guy, Lovel's guy do it? Was it completely open source?
Yeah, I mean, he went
For
in.
GitHub, as he was coding, as he was developing?
Right, so he went in and just grabbed GitHub repository things and just
Yeah.
pieced them together.
But you can do that privately, piece stuff together.
Of course.
You publicly, privately, however you wanna do it, I guess.
So the problem that we're running into is, if I see something that you're doing that I like, I can just ask ChatGPT to tell me how to build what you built,
Yeah.
right? So what's your mode? Right, like now everybody,
Speed.
yeah, see, so it becomes an issue, because as Sam Altman said when he opened the OpenAI store, it was just like, all these AI bots that people are building, they're $100, $200, $1,000, $50,000, but somebody goes in and builds a chatbot that reverse engineers those bots, what is their value now? Right?
Yeah, what happened to
So-
OpenAI when free open source Yama,
Right.
400B came out?
Mhm. So
Everything's
there
free
was
now.
a whole thing on The Verge about like how people were going in and reverse engineering all these GPTs.
Yeah.
And basically, I don't know if you know, but at a certain point, the ChatGPT gets overwhelmed and just spits out the code. Right? And so it's one of those things now where who is going to be the winner in all this stuff, right? Is it just a marketing thing? Is it a first to market thing? Is it like what, right? So, or is it just like, are you just that good at business? Can you just put yourself out there so much that people only want to buy from you because it's a relationship now?
Or
right?
you're a domain expert,
Right.
like lawyers need this, need to
Mhm.
really be the expert in that domain, yes, there's a market.
Yes. Because again, how many people have you talked to that really know the AI tools that are out there, right? Like if I was to ask you, how many AI tools do you know exist right now? Would you say at least 5? Would you know?
I'm an AI dev, so I'm a little bit on the, a lot.
So yeah, it's one of those things, but I just
There's a lot
want
of
to kind of
stuff out
cover
there
these
on
things.
YouTube, MIT classes, Stanford classes, it's all free.
Yeah. But I do want to cover this because this one just came out. And that is this guy right here. This was September 4th, and this just showed up. So they built out this entire community to attract international and digital nomads to their space. So it's sort of like, it's still near the city, but it's still sort of outside the city, and it gives you that peace of mind, that quietness, and it still feels like a co-working space, but you're in nature and relaxing. And I thought it was really nice, this place. And I looked at it, So they're opening it up to all kinds of individuals that are.
What's the rent? I'm there. I always wanted to go to China. Little that.
But it's a revitalization project, right? Like they're trying to figure out like how do we bring in international talent to different parts of China. And it's sort of, to me, I would love to go visit, right? Like I would love to spend some time there and just see what it's like. It looks beautiful, you know, for all I know, those are AI images, right?
You never know.
I mean, really, right? Everything's AI now. 100%. But I was just very, very interested in this article. So if y'all want to look it up or take a picture, or if you just go to the website, Freaking Nomads, you can look at all kinds of things that they've been pushing. But this, again, really caught my attention because, yeah, they want that traffic. They want that, you know, economic, you know, incentive right there.
Have you looked into like other cities that are incentivizing?
Oh, absolutely.
And if so, like, what do you think, like, how would you rank them?
Well, I mean, right now, the one that's the top is like Spain, right? Like Spain, Barcelona area, like they're really heavily invested in like trying to bring people there. But Italy is trying to do the same thing. You're a digital nomad? Yeah. Like a sign-in sheet right there?
Oh,
At the front.
okay.
And so, yeah, Sicily, they have all these programs right now where they're trying to pay people to come over there, right? And there's a program that I saw last year where they will pay you to go to an island and teach and share your knowledge. And the funny thing is, when you get to this beautiful island, there's a catch. What do you need the most as a digital nomad in your life? You need the internet. And there is no internet on the island. Okay? But they pay you a lot of money to be there, right?
Starlink?
You can probably do Starlink, right? Like, you can probably do Starlink, you know. But the idea is though, like you're getting paid to share your knowledge to this community that lives on an island that's mostly like animals and sheep and things like that. And so you're learning their culture, you have free room and board and all this stuff, you're getting paid, you're traveling, you're not limited, you can go to mainland Italy or travel whenever, but the point is there's so many programs out there, right? Like you can go travel for almost nothing now. There's another program, Nomads Giving Back, where you can just sign up and fill out this whole form that shows like what you're an expert in, and then communities around the world will reach out to you and be like, hey, come to our place and teach that, and we will provide room and board. And maybe a stipend, and all of a sudden, now you just have to pay for an airline ticket, you know? All that stuff's taken care of. So, why not, right? But yeah, I just thought this was really cool, just cause like, they're really pushing it to try and get more people out there. Alright, a little nomad humor. I always like to throw one of these up. Is that big enough? There we go. Anybody experience this problem? It's not. Slowly starting to come. So, yeah. Alright, yeah. So I just like to throw that kind of out there. But I do have a little like short video right here because I just saw this recently. And in fact, it's right here. Oh my gosh.
Destination was the young people to get a job or sometimes multiple jobs at the same time and then do them from anywhere in the world. Traveling the world full time or living in a cheap but exotic destination was the reserve of the jet set class just a few years ago. But now almost anybody can do it while saving more money than they can get in a major city. These so-called digital nomads have gone from a small niche group to a major component of the workforce in less than a decade. A survey conducted by the workforce intelligence firm NBO Partners and published by the Harvard Business Review found that 17.3 million American workers now describe themselves as digital nomads, representing a 150% increase since 2019 alone. In this survey, digital nomads could include anybody from the tech workers sailing around the world, submitting their code once a day via Starlink, to a traveling nurse living out of a van, to someone who simply moved to a more affordable city temporarily to work remotely. In their research, the team for HBR found that the #1 reason that people were pursuing this unrooted lifestyle was because they couldn't afford a more typical way of life. And if they were going to be uncomfortable both physically and financially, they would rather be uncomfortable while seeing the world.
Okay, yeah, nomad stuff, there's a sign in right there. Yes. So did everybody get that last point? Like, right?
If life sucks, why don't I just go
somewhere
travel the
better,
world?
right? You know, go to a place where your costs are lower, right? Like go over there, save some money, and then come visit your family, right? You know, after you saved all that money from not spending it here. But that was an article that came out last year, and it is the reality of like digital nomads. For some people, it's like, hey, I have the ability to go travel, go work remotely. I'm gonna take it. If I can save $2,000, $3,000 because the rent here is so expensive, why not, right?
The sacrifices that you need to make to hit the road are much smaller than they used to be too. Remote jobs are still hard to land, but they are not nearly as hard to find as they used to be.
So, on that note, I was just watching a video recently that I found that was quite disturbing. So who here knows Pleasant Green? If you do, I would be very the wrong one. So Pleasant Green is yes. So right now there's this problem where you have ghost jobs, right? You have a lot of ghost jobs popping up, and some of these jobs are also scams, and people are falling into these big traps. Pleasant Green is a guy who actually goes after these scammers. Like, he purposely falls into their traps because he needs to understand their operations, he needs to understand what they're doing, and remote work is becoming the thing, right? Like, there's so many jobs out there. Now, what's happening is these scammers are going in and they're basically looking at these sites and they're copying them, basically color palette, and going to this stuff, and people are going there and applying for this stuff and thinking like, oh man, these jobs are real. So they apply, and this video right here, fighting back against businesses, this one is shocking. Like, it's so bad what's going on that there was an FBI report that showed this 10 years ago of how this works. So for example, like, somebody will call up, they will place an order, right? And businesses do this 30-day net contract things, right? Or 60-day. And then you go in, you invoice them, you send them the product. What happens? Well, what happens is that product gets sent to basically a U-Haul storage facility. Somebody picks it up, and then that stuff right there gets shipped to Africa. So what happens is you call the company thinking like, hey, you know, your invoice is due, this is what's going on. It doesn't exist. You know, it's not there. But you've lost all your inventory, right? So that's what's happening to these businesses, is they're getting scammed out of their own stuff. Because what looks real is pretty frightening. And so the same thing for these task app things, remote work. You're going in and you're thinking like, oh cool, here's where it gets really scary. You go in, you start doing work, and you start earning income. And then all of a sudden you find out you fell into a trap, that income is tied to a scam. And now you owe money because you did something that your balance was negative. And now you fall into this, and it's scary. Scary. So if you're doing remote work, be very careful, is really what I can say. The way to fight back against this is watch people who do stuff like this, who teach you this stuff, so you understand what to look for, how it works, the structure of the scams, things like that. In fact, there was another one I'm going to show you real quick. If you don't know this guy, educate yourself on him real fast. So this one's even worse. This one right here, he is very good at what he does. Okay, he makes millions of dollars doing this stuff. And basically what's happening is these people are going in and selling cars that don't exist. And they're grabbing VIN numbers, and they're basically going to sites that showcase cars. They're copying these websites, and basically they're going in, people are paying them, showing up to these dealerships, and all of a sudden those cars don't actually exist at these places. But these dealerships are getting negative reviews, and it's tanking their businesses. And then as soon as all this is over with, those sites disappear, right? So be very careful about like all kinds of stuff, because it is getting worse. You know, I watch this guy probably almost every week to update myself on what's going on. This second one right here, this scam is so elaborate. It'll blow your mind how elaborate. It looks real, it looks authentic, and so many people fall for it. Okay? So basically what they built was an entire investment platform, right? And you go in, they're just like, hey, we're gonna show you how to trade on the stock market. They took time to build the software. Like, you go in and it looks real, you're doing your stuff, but to make it authentic looking, you can't just be like, hey, I'll put in $200, I'll test it out. Nope, you gotta put in at least $2,000 to show like you're serious, that's the minimum balance to open an account. You go in, you do all that stuff, and then as you're working with them, they're nice to you, they help you, you have an account manager, you can call anytime you want, And then as it goes on, it shows you that your balance is going up. You're like, hey, you know what, I'd like to withdraw $50, if that's okay. And like, oh, no, not today. Like, it's really gonna do good today. In the background, they're messing with everything, okay? It's an orchestrator. And so, yeah, and just when you made a lot of money, $1,000 in income, I want to withdraw, it starts to tank all of a sudden. It's like, no, it's not a good time. It's a psychological thing, you know, and so many people, if you haven't learned how to invest, you're going to fall for this, right? Like, it's going to happen. So when you're a digital nomad, you have to be aware of these kinds of things because it's all out there. If you apply for a job right now, there's this problem in Southeast Asia where people are applying for jobs, they show up, and then they lock you into a contract, they basically beat you up, and you're a prisoner in this building, and you have to do what they say, you know? You thought it was a job, like you showed up, you did your thing, they get you locked into this, and you're basically fighting for your life, you know? And a lot of Americans are falling for this, because they're just like, oh, I heard it's so much cheaper to live overseas and do all these things, and I have a job waiting for me, and yeah, so. It's scary, you know, but I'm showing you this stuff because these people purposely go after these people, and they shut down their operations, and it is very interesting. Like, I meet a lot of cybersecurity experts, and you know what's amazing to me? Is they have no idea this is even a thing. Like, they know software, they know coding, I'm like, cool, great, awesome, guess what? You're still not useful to a company. You're still not useful, like, you still cannot do anything, sorry to tell you that. You waste a lot of money learning how to build a fortress, you know? That's not how a scammer works today, you know, so. But yes, I wanted to cover that stuff because it's one of those things where it's scary. It's just really scary. All right, so we're gonna get into what the topic of thing, and that is creating opportunities. So this is gonna be something we're gonna go through, and yes, you're gonna have a little exercise to follow through. So if you brought your laptop or your phone, something like that, you're gonna need it. All right, so creating opportunities anywhere. So as a digital nomad, when you're traveling, you want to start preparing like where you're going to go beforehand. So if you're going to plan, let's say like, I'm going to go live in, let's say, Eastern Europe for the next 8 months, the idea is to plan all that ahead. Have things waiting for you, don't just show up and be like, I'm just going to wing this, right? Like have an actual plan in mind. So find people who work in that space that you want to talk to. Okay, so I'm going to pull out these bullet points and you're going to start to follow them, right? So create a schedule 3 months in advance of people, places you need to meet or you want to apply for, okay? So if you were to do that here in Austin, and you're like, hey, I want to expand my network, what would you do right now?
Go to your class.
Yes, that's a good answer. Wow. Keep calm. Anything else besides that?
Just go to different meetups and different types of meetups to
Okay.
run clubs.
What if you're an introvert? What if this scares you? Like, you have no idea how many times I've met people who are like, this right here would scare somebody. Like, what I do would probably scare so many people, right? Like, public speaking is a fear to so many people, right? So, if you're an introvert, how would you do that? Because there are a lot of digital nomads who, they are introverts, right? That's why they do their jobs that they do. They get to work at home, they get to go at their own pace. So how would you do that?
Well, you're
So quiet.
people that you trust, try to get as much as you can. You know, if they live in Austin, try to get as much information as you can out of them.
Okay. All right. And if you just got here, because like, how many people just showed up in August? He's about to tell me.
Myself.
Welcome.
All right. Yes.
That's actually what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
so right now, remember
California.
every August, at least 250,000 people come into Austin, and that is because universities. Remember, all the new students are showing up for class, right? They move in the dorms, they start their new lives, all these things. There's an influx, right? There you go. See, you got money over there. So, and that's why we love traffic, right? Like, that is awesome. So, let's keep going. All right. So, maximize technology limits. So, there's a little thing that I put here that if anybody knows this guy, I would be very happy because he's actually a Capital Factory member and he does a podcast here. And I'm going to show this video, but there was this guy who basically, to give you a little preface of this, when he was young, he was like, I want to meet all these people and I want to talk to them, and like, I don't know any of these people and I'm just going to use Gmail's limits and I'm going to take advantage of it. So if you know Gmail's limits, you only get to send how many emails a day? 100 emails a day, okay? So he would sit down Friday nights, and he would go through and just email all the people in the world that he ever wanted to talk to, right? And he would just go through until the limit was just like, okay, you've hit your limit, no more. And he would do that at 18. While all his friends were partying, getting drunk, doing all this stuff, he sat his ass down, and that's what he did.
And he spammed everybody.
And he spammed everything, yes. Or he
Personal
never,
spam.
he networked.
Cold call.
Cold call, yes. So, where did I put that one? There we go. Alright, so it should be, well, I have the marker right over. Okay. Does anybody know this guy? No? He goes to like Fiesta and Austin started Meetup, and he's spoken before and pitched at Fiesta. Anyways, we're gonna listen to this cool story.
Full of oh yeah, that's totally fine. But just keep asking. A lot of people will end up saying yes, so you're just gonna put the reps.
Yeah, and Joel, I'll actually rival you on that, funny enough. So when I was 18 years old, first year university, I moved to Canberra to study, and I was studying optometry, which is very famously known to be someone who comes from, a healthcare background to now a completely different field. And I was 18 and I was miserable. I hated what I was studying. I was studying optometry. I was in a dark corner checking people's eyes. I did not like it at all. So I needed an escape mechanism. And so what I used to do every single week, instead of on a Friday night going out and partying as an 18-year-old would do at university, I would abuse Gmail in the capacity that you could schedule a total of 100 emails every 24 hours. That's all you could do, right? You can't schedule more than 100. 100 is the limit. I would schedule 100 emails on a Friday night to go out every single day on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to different organizations like not-for-profits, to companies, to volunteering organizations, to random people I found on LinkedIn, their email address from their LinkedIn account. And I would just say, hey, I'm 18, I don't enjoy what I'm doing, can I grab 15 minutes of your time? I did that for about 6 months as an 18-year-old. Instead of partying and enjoying my life, I did that. And I truly, like, my lesson from that, and for the person who asked the question, the reality is, and this is obviously in the world that we live in, 90% of people you email or cold outreach will not respond, right? That's the reality of it. You have to follow up, you have to actually put effort and try to get their attention. But the 10% that actually respond back to you, and this is something you can use in my life as a case study, those 10% truly change your life, because when they give you your time and you're actually seeking their time and wisdom and energy, those 10% become advisors, mentors, a really good chat, or in the future become a business opportunity, a partnership opportunity, or you meet them in person and they become a really good lifelong friend. And so that would be sort of my experience in the cold outreach and just meeting people. It sounds intimidating, it's just like, will this person respond back to me? Are they just gonna reject me? Which is all part of the process. But the 10% they give back to you, honestly, use my life as a case study, it's transformational. It's ridiculous.
Alright, so to give you perspective, he did that, and later on in his life he started an entrepreneurship program in Australia, and to date, if you look at the number, I believe it's right here, in less than 1.5 years, he's helped 180,000 people have participated in his entrepreneurship programs that have gone through his school. All based on outreach, all these things, and no, he's not an optometrist. Alright, so who here has done that before? Okay, alright. Alright, next one. So understand how to really use AI to make those introductions. Alright? Like, how many are using AI to facilitate all that stuff? Just be honest. Okay, alright. So, anybody know Long Consulting? I found out about them a long time ago. They're really interesting. I love their tool. And so basically what they do is what you don't want to do, right? Let me see if I can, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. I got it. So they have this really cool tool. You go in here and it's numbered AI, okay? And when you go into here, what it does is it connects your LinkedIn, and then it basically just scans all of LinkedIn to find who out there matches you. And then it will facilitate that connection. It will draft out the intro, you add all your information as well. You can go through, and then AI goes to work, and does its stuff, starts networking, it does the outreach, email introductions, all that stuff. And all of a sudden it tells you like, hey, these are all the people you should be networking with. And it does all that for you right there. And this tool has been around, I believe, for about 2 years at this point. And I first heard about it a long, long time ago, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So like, it does all that work for you. Whereas like, if you go there and you start doing it one by one, that's gonna take you a long time. But this is another tool to help you network if you decide to do it on LinkedIn.
Do you think you can use it for full selling?
Probably, you know, I mean, like, there's all kinds of like tools now on LinkedIn that's growing, and like apps, or like even on like Shopify. I'm sure there's tools for that now that are built out. So,
Just like the car girls.
yeah, that too, you know, so yeah. But yeah, there's Job Tracker, there's a Job Board AI, there's a Resume AI. But again, there's so many new tools out there today, like it's constant. So, if we go back to here, then the idea is like you're trying to look for all kinds of ways to help yourself. So you're gonna go in, set up a meeting, offer like coffee or lunch, and you're gonna create a budget for this, okay? Because it can get expensive. Like if you're reaching out to these people, like you're offering to buy them lunch or coffee, set a budget, you know? And then use AI to refine the purpose of why you both should work together. Go in, you know, have a strategy with AI and talk about like, hey, how can we actually work together? It's there, use it, right? So if there's a potential partnership to be had, you know, and you find out like, cool, we can work together, have AI write out all your legal documents, go to a lawyer, have them review it, done, right? So for that, you post on social media, you show people what you're doing, just like you saw in the video before. All these people are going on Twitter, they're posting their small little goals that they've had. They're showing like, this is my journey, this is what's going on, and it brings that whole like community to you. So, you're gonna create a system for this then. Once you go through that whole process, you're gonna create a system. Why?
So you can replicate it.
Exactly. See, I was wondering, everybody here should have already done that, right? Like you're trying to scale this. Like that's the point, okay? So you can go into make.com, automate it. Like just set the whole process in motion and do that. Like go to Applify, something like that. Or, you know what? Hire a virtual assistant. Go in, yes.
Turn it into a SaaS company.
Oh, damn, this guy's way ahead of everybody. Did y'all hear that? He's already making money. Hey, I will build your network for you. It's $49.95 a month, you know. But yeah, that's the idea. It's like you're trying to scale this so that way every time you go somewhere, like you have an influx of things to do. You're not showing up blindly. So if you go, let's say, to Germany, and if you have a system in place, it already did a outreach 3 months in advance. You do all that stuff, now you have meetings, now you have like conference talks to go to, all that stuff. Any questions?
But each country's gonna have it, you know, the different process. I mean, so when you talk about your legal documents, like, yeah, I have no idea what my legal documents requirements are in Germany versus Singapore or something like that.
Yep.
So I guess if you're gonna build a system, then it's hitting each locale and it's getting all those.
And that's where Harvey AI comes in. So Harvey AI is your answer to what you're looking for, because Harvey AI is the legal AI tool out there that was built by OpenAI. And large law firms now use Harvey AI for all of the rudimentary things.
Yeah.
You know, so you can select your country, you can do all your things, stuff like that. But again, right now you're trying to build relationships. The reason why I put that there was if there's potential for a work relationship, have AI draft everything for you so you have an idea. You know, it's the lawyer who's going to finalize everything. You know, so that's what you're looking for, right? You want to understand like what to be aware. That's the point of AI.
What are the legal documents in this country that I need to do business?
Right, but it's also the case of like, hey, we have a partnership, this is what we're doing, draft a document that understands those relationships, right? And include these points, these conditions, all that stuff, and then go through there, and then once it looks good, sit down with the lawyer and say, hey, what else am I missing, right? But yeah, I mean, like that's the idea here is like you're trying to create a system that scales, so when you show up somewhere, all kinds of things fall into place. But again, going back to your other issue was, you're looking for somebody who is in those locations.
Yeah,
like if you're going to Germany, you're gonna hire a VA in Germany that knows that culture, so they're gonna go and do all that stuff for you, you know? That's the important part, right? Like you want to be 4 or 5 steps ahead of all this stuff. So when you show up, they know the culture, they live there, they understand everything, boom, you slide right in.
What's a LinkedIn dev post?
How many times have you seen LinkedIn posts that are just like this like professional gibberish and it has no traction? We understand that, so that's LinkedIn. Like, man, they put a lot of work into that. I am not yeah, so pockets of communities. That's what you're gonna start looking for is where's my community, okay? So to start off with Tech Week, because this is Capital Factory, like everybody knows Austin Tech Week's coming up, right? Okay, good, alright, okay, got kind of quiet,
No.
but what? Oh my gosh, Austin Tech Week's coming up the last week of October to November. If you haven't, go buy your tickets, sign up, you know. It'll be a lot of fun. But again, this week is Denver's tech week as well. Every place has a different tech week. And if you're trying to get into those different pockets of communities, go to those different areas. Like Hampton has one, Miami has one, Arizona. Yes.
You know about the Denver tech area.
So I already looked at so I used to live there as well, and I checked out the schedule for this week. It's not as packed as Austin. They had some good ones, but it's a lot of VC talk. It's a lot of like raising money and things like that. So basically, translation is, hey, we're gonna throw a lot of powder up your ass. We're gonna like impress you, and maybe you want to start a company with us, right? You know?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I go to a lot of these tech, I mean, and there are a lot of VCs here.
Yep.
I mean, Calicanis, I'm part of this Angel Syndicate.
Yeah.
And there are very few founders here. Very few UT master's students want to start a company. It's not like Silicon Valley.
Right.
It's you have to hold their hand and make sure, hey, please take some money. Company, please.
That's
They're
true.
not, they don't like to take a risk here.
Right, I know. It's very different, you know. Ironically enough, Austin's the only city in Texas that has the most funding for VC stuff. But where is the #1 spot?
Silicon Valley.
For founders.
Silicon Valley, yeah, Silicon Valley. All right, so now that that's out of the way, what's coming up at the end of the month?
Their tech week?
That's right, that's right. That's the big one. Like if you're serious about raising money or you're serious about like having real connections in Silicon Valley, that's where you're gonna spend your time. Okay, so if I go over here, because I've actually gone through with some people already to help like work out their schedules. Let's see. Yeah, so this one right here coming up, San Francisco, October 7th to the 13th, and then LA is right after that. So again, these are previous speakers. This is the one for San Francisco coming up, finding product market fit, the path to AI commercial breakthrough. Don't be fooled by the title, by the way. It's not what you think. But game changers, these are some of the people speaking. A lot of heavy hitters will be at these events, right? So if I go down here, I can start to look at like what's going on. If I want to see the full schedule, then I will put my email in. All right, so San Francisco, remember I'm just gonna do Monday. Look how many events are on the first day. You ready? Can you go to all that?
So this is, and this costs money to go and do
No,
this?
no. I mean, like some events are paid, but the majority, you can show up and go to the free stuff. Okay? It's just getting there, right? But look at that, that's just day one.
You know which ones have food.
That's right. Thank you. That's what I do, right? So you have event types. You have happy hour, networking, you know, so you can break everything down. Like if I just want food, I can just say breakfast, brunch, and I'm good to go, okay? But you have, you know, kickoff happy hour, you have AI founder pitch and demo night, you have live podcast recording. So the future of Africa, future opportunities for AI founders. Like you're not at a loss for finding your community, right? Like you can go in here and really set a nice schedule of where you need to spend your time. And I guarantee you will walk away with some very, very serious connections. And what's nice is you also get to pick what neighborhood you want to stay in, or if you just want to see all of it. You know, if you're going to take an Uber or if you're going to walk around, be aware of all those kinds of things. So, first event, there's 3 p.m. and then there's 6:45 a.m. if you need to be up and early. Cold plunge, because that's what I guess rich people do. And then there's founders cold plunge. And then there's also scaling your crypto company, because who knows, that's not a scam, right? And then kickoff breakfast, which is probably where I will be. And then you have networking for underrepresented founders, impact investor lunch, family office. I actually thought that one was really interesting. I'm a big component of like family offices and how they operate, since we have the #1 here in Austin. But how AI disrupts sustainability, down the rabbit hole. So if I was just to click on any one of these, this is what you come up to. A lot of these require approval, and a lot of these are already waitlisted. So if you're serious about stuff like this, you need to sit down tonight, go through that calendar, and start figuring out where you're going to be. You can see who's hosting it, what it's a part of. You can go through here, see all the details. But it is very, very interesting to see like what people are working on. So if I was to go to Tuesday, I take off Monday and go over here. Again, there's a lot going on. So it's basically just networking all day long. You can't tell me you're not going to be tired. Okay, this is exhausting stuff, right? Oh God, we have AI pickleball tournament. My God.
What does it even look like?
So there's a little robot playing pickleball with it,
Just smacking computer chips.
Exactly, back, yeah, it's like, damn.
Someone with like Neuralink.
But, oh God, he just said Neuralink brain AI founders dinner, because, why not? Approval required, so you join, and that shows you where it's going to be located. But yeah, that right there shows you like, this is the big one. Okay, before that was over in New York, now they have this. So as of right now, I think the current number sits at around 850 events between San Francisco and LA. Okay? If you can do that, all the more cheap. Okay? So this is a way to also see like, hey, what are people talking about? What are people doing? What are the trends? And yeah, I mean, like that gives you good insight to like, if you're going to build a company, look at what people are talking about and go from there. Again, it doesn't have to be big. You can just have a side project. Any questions about this? Who here knew about this before? Okay. All right. And if we go to, let's say, Denver Tech Week. Yeah, this one right here. And then that one's this week. If I go into the schedule. It's really just these 3 days. So if I look at this one, yeah, you'll start to see like it's not elaborate. So it's pretty doable. And you can get involved, organize an event. And if I go to the next day, then I can see more like what's going on. So, but yeah, that's doable. San Francisco is just like it's like Mount Everest. So. But yeah. So that's what you're trying to like. You're trying to find your like pockets of community. So again, the next one would be like Nomad communities. Like you have Nomad Cruise, you have Nomad List, Nomad Summit, running remote, unsettled. So now what I want y'all to do is sort of go in and look for a Nomad community that matches what you're looking for. So go in, like, I was about to say Google, what's wrong with me? So go do a search, however you search for stuff, and see what you come up with for like Nomad communities, and tell me what your results are. Yes?
Can you give us a summary though, like for example, Miami is known for crypto. So like, can you go, was that your list in there? I mean,
you mean for like the Tech Week ones?
Yeah, as far as, well, actually, each of those cities, what are they known for? Like, Miami's known for startups for crypto.
Right.
And then here, I'm not sure what Austin's known for, but.
So Austin is now becoming like that AI tech hub. It's like there's more AI like startups, things like that for their startup week. And when I looked at the calendar for Austin Tech Week, it was a lot of like, hey, AI funding, AI in healthcare, because we have the Dell Medical School, So it's one of those things where it's growing more because you have more young people using it, and they're like, hey, what can I build using AI, game dev development, things like that.
What would you say LA is, Los Angeles?
So LA, that one's an interesting one because a lot of their connections are basically China, Eastern Asia. There's a lot of connections coming in from there. So when I looked at their calendar, there's a lot of like filmmaking stuff. There's a lot of like arts and cultures, and also like manufacturing. So they're a big hub for that kind of spot. London is also one of like
Fintech.
financial.
Fintech.
Yeah, fintech, things like that. Same thing for Singapore. Sydney actually has one, but their big one now is going to be Australia Tech Fest in December. That's coming up. So if you want to go down under, you can go check that one out. This is their first year they're launching that one. They were actually here at South by promoting that, and they were trying to get people here to go check that one out. In fact, South by also will be doing Sydney in October this year. So, but yes, that's the first time they're going international.
No.
No, it's not.
What?
Are
I
you
was
sure?
one of the 3 founders of South by
Oh my God.
So it's
Tell me.
not about me.
Oh,
So
gee.
no, we've done, another thing in Europe before, and this is the second year for Sydney and South by.
So was this recent or is this before the pandemic?
Well, the one was a year previous for
Okay.
Sydney,
Okay.
and this will be the second year. So that's what they were here
Okay.
for.
Did you go?
I did not go to Sydney this year. I talked to the guy who's the organizer for them that brought about 30 indigenous tribes. I'm more retired than anybody right now.
So am I.
At UNESCO, I'm all in a give back mood, that's why I'm here. So anyway, interface with the guy that brought those tribes. We're gonna try to bring, we shook hands on 50. Within about an hour, I made 2 phone calls and we had up to 250 indigenous tribes here.
Okay.
Bring their cultural leaders, all of their stuff, have the groups here, adopt them so that these tribes have the same resources that a CEO of a Fortune 500 has.
Okay.
And in exchange, we're gonna capture all of their indigenous knowledge, everything they can bring, every story they can tell, because AI needs to include indigenous answers in what we're asking it to tell us.
Right.
There's knowledge there that we're leaving out of the equation.
In data sets.
Yeah.
That's and we hope to have 1,000 by 2030.
Good. Okay.
Indigenous tribes
All right.
involved.
Yeah. Okay.
So the cultural side of the tech there. The cultural side.
Yes.
Again, this is about giving back. It's this is part of the give back of
This is
South.
the nonprofit
Yeah.
branch.
Yeah, the only thing I still do is the Dewey Winburn Awards, called the Community Awards.
Okay.
And then all the
Yeah.
booths, I still survey all the booths and see, make sure we're doing a good job. But other than that, I'm hands off.
More power to you.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. None of this is about me. We were just trying to bring jobs to Austin. Nobody knew about us.
Right.
Technology for good,
Yeah.
because 30 years ago, that was 33 years ago, guys, girls, that we were doing this. There was, spreadsheets, word processing, databases. There was no internet. There was none of this stuff going on. And the direction that technology was going, there were 2 other industries driving it. Gambling, real gambling.
Porn.
Taking poor people's money away from them,
Yes.
hoping they
All that.
could win and never work
Right.
again.
Yeah.
And the other one was how much money boys will pay
Yeah.
to see bodies.
Right.
So that was driving the industry,
Uh-huh.
and we just wanted to say, could we possibly grab that tiller and turn technology for good? So it was jobs for us and our friends, technology for good, and we called it Open Kimona.
Okay.
There was no open source back then, but that's what this was. We brought, the first 3 or 4 years, we brought people here, put them on our buses, took them to our studios, and
Yep.
said, this is how we do multimedia, how do you do it?
Yeah.
So that was the genesis of South by,
Interesting.
interactive.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, none of it's about.
Yeah. So on that note, South by will be in London in May. So they're gonna have theirs as well. So if you're gonna be in London in May, go check out South by over there. So, but yes, Singapore is the finance hub for that whole region. But for nomad communities, did anybody find something interesting?
This one's good.
Well, so then you've also got the thing about, I wanna live here,
Sure.
but the fact that it's remote, the work can come from anywhere.
Yes. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
cus-
So again,
customers
this
here.
goes back to why my other event is so popular.
Yeah.
Because there's people that want this, but they don't wanna travel.
Yeah.
So then that's not a nomad, you're just here,
Right, because
Um,
I've, my experience is that you're talking about UX designer, that, you can make more money here in the United States than say Europe. So, Europe, the rates are much less than they are here in the US.
Right.
So, hey, I wanna go live in the south of Italy, doesn't that sound great? But I would wanna get to work here in the US then, and then just.
Right, and that would be considered like contract work or remote work or things like
Yeah.
that, so you can pick up.
But that's not really what, so your whole digital nomad is actually getting the work there.
So, no, it's anywhere.
It's just-
It's anywhere, like, as long as you can do the work from anywhere,
Yeah.
remote work, right? You can pick up contracts, you can go
Right.
to certain things, but again, it varies, right? Like, you can go to a region, work for 3 months there, and then go somewhere else and work for 4 months there, and
Mhm.
travel and do those kinds of things. Like, you have options. So
Yeah.
if you wanna go live in Italy and get paid and do those kinds of things, join their program, and then when you're done, go find another place to do another program,
Mm.
But it's the travel part, right? Like, the travel part is what scares some people, because then they deal with all kinds of like insurance issues, tax issues, visa issues. So there's, right, yeah, so those are the things, and that's, I think, why the other program that I run is so much popular, because like, guess what? I get to go home and follow my routine, right?
Mhm.
Bedtime's 9:30, I have my car, and I have my TV shows, and, yeah, when you're a nomad, it's not like that every day. So, there is no reruns of Friends, there's no Seinfeld in the morning, so. But yeah.
I mean, I think a big part of this is finding digital nomads that are doing the same type of work that you are in that area, and saying, what are the pitfalls? Oh, let me tell you, don't
Right.
go to this place, don't do this, or whatever,
Right,
So
and
I think
that-
a big part of it is
And that's
finding.
why Nomad Cruise is a big part of that, because people get together, they're on a cruise ship, and they're like, hey, you cover this region, what do I need to be aware of? Like,
Oh,
like,
interesting.
hey,
Okay.
you're doing the same kind of work I did 10 years ago, what were your issues? Like,
Yeah.
how did you deal with this? And then you meet the people, like, how do you deal with burnout? How do you deal with, like, the stresses of, like, constantly moving?
Yeah.
And then they share all those stories, like, hey, you know what, I've been through that, that's why I don't do it anymore. Like, now I do this kind of work, because I found a community over here that does that, it's way easier as you get older. So then all of a sudden, like, now you have things to consider as you get older, like, take this kind of job, because that work, I don't do anymore, because it was just too much outreach, right? Like, and that's where these pockets of communities come in, they give you that awareness. So that's why, like, I cover, like, project managers. I'm meeting more project managers now who are laid off, and they're looking for remote work, they're looking for contracts, they're looking for these kinds of things they can pick up. So I give some examples right there, like Women in Project Management Summit over in Ireland, Project Management Symposium, that's in Maryland. And again, you have like these different pockets that you can like network with and talk to. Again, if you're not sure, just go to Vegas, go on any day. There's like thousands of conferences there, like they're the capital conferences. You walk in, you're just like, great, conference for weird gadgets of, Eastern Asia. So if you go further, then best conferences to attend, World Business Forum, Industry of Things World Summit. So you have even a broader range of things to go to. You can be like, hey, you know what? I can go to one for engineers, and I can go one just for like chemical engineering. So people are realizing, and that's why Capital Factory does this, is when they first started, they had no conferences here. It was just a co-working space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got into Startup Week, and then they got into Fed Supernova, and then they got into, let's do a startup crawl, let's do this. They understood like conferences, that's a big business, and that brings in a lot of different industries, so, yeah.
For project management, is there stuff coming up here in Austin for that?
I believe so. I would have to check the calendar, but I think so, yeah, because if you go to 10times.com, that's a calendar that tracks all the trade shows and conferences around the world. And then you can look at that one, but I believe there's, I think 2 or 3, but yes. And that's the idea, is like, how do you leverage these communities? And just like I was saying, like, you want to go in and learn like who's done what you've done before, ask them, like, deal with like, hey, I'm dealing with this right now, how did you deal with these problems, and get their input. Like, I found this part of the world is better for this part of the world is better for that, avoid this place by any means you can, and that's good to know, so. And again, there's so many other nomads out there on YouTube that are just like, don't do this, like, this is why I don't do this anymore. And the reason why is a lot of them burn out because they do everything themselves. And that is the one thing you don't want to do, is everything yourself, because you will burn out. But you build a team, you can push that to your team, that's how you scale. So,
So you build a team in that country or whatever.
around the world, like your team is remote, you know, so if you know you're going to Eastern Europe, you should build a team out in Eastern Europe and be like, hey, I'm gonna be going out here, I need help with this, I need help with that, I need help with this, you know? Yeah. Upwork, Fiverr, you know, people per hour, there's all kinds of platforms now. So you can go in there and just search and do and build out like a small 2-person team, you know, that's really not expensive.
No.
And then you go from there. All right, so take 5 minutes. I want you to use AI to see what you can come up with, okay? Just try it. If you can use whatever AI tool you use. I know everybody's gonna use ChatGPT, but be different.
What's the one on Grok? I mean, not the Elon Grok, but the other one.
Oh,
Grok.
GROK?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that good? I mean, use it, is that good?
I mean, it's decent.
It's looking like the fastest, because of the LPU too.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
Chips that they made, I think.
Yeah, just put like a check mark by your name on this. Little bit. Hopefully you're finding some good stuff. Or maybe AI is leading you down rabbit. About 2 more minutes. And, so also the trick is that you're trying to do the last part of the task. And I'm curious to see.
Put it in a spreadsheet?
Yes. So have AI make the spreadsheet for you.
Put it in the spreadsheet.
It's probably gonna tell you no.
No, they did it.
It did it already? Okay, good, alright, so, yeah, okay. Do you have a good one that gave you the links to it?
I mean, it's a little bit high level.
Okay, gotcha.
Just like,
What
hey,
spreadsheet is it?
digital nomads in Facebook. It's awesome.
Yes.
No, it's actually giving me the links as well.
Okay, good, okay, perfect, alright. So for me, I'm very lazy, so I always like to make sure AI is doing most of the work, you know, so that's the idea, is to keep pushing AI, because you wanna see where its limits are, you know. So it's just like, I'm gonna show you what I did earlier, because AI pushed back against me, and I didn't like that, and he finally gave it what I wanted, and I'll show you what I did, so. Alright, about a minute left.
So you're gonna talk about prompt engineering or something?
Nope.
Okay.
It's about setting boundaries, you know, letting him know who's the boss, you know, so, yeah.
So, one of these Nomad, it just gave me this link that said nomads.com. So it looks very much like the same design as that,
Other side?
that photo.ai
yeah,
and all the other ones, so it's the same guy then.
Probably, yeah. I mean, like, again, you're not trying to put, you know, change the world, right? Like, if you have a template that works, keep using it, you know? And if people complain, okay, that's fine, you know? Alright, so we can stop there. I'm curious to see, like, what people came up with. Were you able to get the spreadsheet? Were you not? Like, how did you, what did you find? I'm just curious what the results would be.
I've got Reddit links, I've
What is
linked in groups.
the Reddit ones? Tell me what the Reddit ones are.
One of them is digital nomads, remote jobs.
Okay, alright.
User experience.
Okay.
Then there's LinkedIn groups.
Okay.
Um,
So if you read it very carefully, to use AI to find communities in Austin. So those groups right there are global.
yeah.
Yeah, so those are very broad, right? Like you're trying to find something here that you can go to build out your community. So I know about all those right there. So that's the idea, is like how do you basically build out that kind of like question for AI to find it and do the work for you. Like you want it to go out on the internet and do the work for you. You know. Anyone else? Any other communities? Do you have one?
My question to Glad was, find healthcare startups in Austin, Texas, and list in one column.
Okay.
Very simple column.
You didn't do it?
Spreadsheet stuff. I got a one column list, yeah.
Okay, what is it?
These are just companies, though. They're not
Oh.
people I need. I'm an investor. I want to invest in these companies.
Okay.
I want to know about them.
So then what did you want? Did it do what you wanted? Okay, alright. So there you go. Now he knows where to put his money. Alright, anybody else? Do you want to give anything?
Austin AI Social Hour.
Oh, good, okay, where's that one? Did it give you a link, or did it just make it up?
No, so there's a newsletter, AITX.
Nice. Oh, I know that. Yeah, I know that.
A lot of just like AI.
Okay. Was there any that you saw that were new to you?
No.
Okay, alright. So would you say it did its job, or it's still learning?
It did its job. I've definitely looked into this before.
Okay.
So that's how I know.
You probably already have the tab though. So, yeah. Anyone else want to share before I move on?
Yeah.
Alright, so moving on. Alright, so deals right here. Now, he knows this part right here. This is a little different though. So agreement between two parties, basic boring definition, right? So basically you're trying to create something out there. As you're going out, you want to start building stuff, right? Like I come from the world of like, you know, movies and acting and things like that. So I'm very used to like producing, right? I used to run 2 TV shows over at UT. And when you work in film and TV, like you have to basically pull stuff out of the air. Like you have to make things happen that don't necessarily like work together, right? So you're trying to find 2 things to bring together to make something happen. So why do I bring this up? Because remember, I come from a world like professional services. Like I don't deal with physical products. So if I'm going to create something, like I'm looking to bring stuff together to sell. That's why I do data brokering. Like I mine data and package it and sell it. You know, why? Because it's so easy. Like you just grab it, package it, make it look nice, sell it, somebody buys it, right? I'm not dealing with physical products. I'm not dealing with manufacturing issues, safety issues, things like that. So this is why I bring this kind of stuff up, because if you're going out there and you're building stuff, then you're trying to build things out there that don't exist. You want to get attention, right? So who's this guy, Michael Orbitz? If you, I know who, yeah, if you're, just your reaction alone says it all. Don't say anything.
I lived in LA many years.
Okay. All right. So why was he such a feared guy in Hollywood? And you can look him up too if you want to like do a quick search on him, you know, for those that are younger. So to give perspective, he's the reason why David Letterman was David Letterman. He's the reason why Rain Man was Rain Man. Like, without this guy, there's so many things that we enjoy today that would have never existed. But he was very ruthless in how he did stuff. Like he was so fearful that people just did things because he could move mountains and things like that. I read his book, and then there were like interviews he did when he released his book. I remember him back in the 90s and 80s because again, he started in the mailroom, he got himself out, worked his way up, and then caused some trouble, and then started creative artist agencies, and went through a whole thing with that. But again, film is all about like finding things that don't exist and bringing them together. So as a nomad, you're trying to go out there into the world and find stuff that people don't know about, right? Like if you go out to, let's say, a market in Southeast Asia, and you're like, you know what, nobody's doing this. I want to put this together, package it with somebody else that I know is really good at this. I'm going to make that deal happen, right? That's how I think it is. Like, you know, when I go out and do things, like, I'm just like, always like trying to figure out like, okay, what can I build that's easy to scale and hand off to a team? Any comments, questions?
What website is the best to do that on?
So as a producer, like there's not going to be one size that fits all, right? Like most of the time people will use like Shopify. Don't do Amazon, like they're just horrible, you know. If you're doing physical, if you're selling like services, look at the guy that I just talked about, like, you know, Peter Levels. All he did was create wrappers, right? Like he just built all these tools that were popular, built the same template, scaled it, pushed it off to a team, and that was it, right?
So I don't need to be like an expert in coding.
You can be a project manager. Right. A friend of mine, she's a digital marketer, she has an MBA, she travels all over Europe.
Yep.
And she speaks very also, but yeah, if you're a project manager, you need some technical people working for you, yes.
Exactly, yeah.
It's easy, if that's what you wanna do.
I'm
Right.
starting to look into that, yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
wanna do,
but the idea though is like,
software engineer.
you have to initiate all this stuff. So
Yeah.
you're really about building relationships, you're trying to get something that doesn't know each other together to work and make it.
Because I've
Right?
done that plenty of times for no money. So
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really familiar.
So, exactly, you know, so that's the case. And so you're creating something out of thin air, and that's why I mentioned this stuff, because a lot of people think like, I have to reinvent the wheel. Don't do that. Like, just find a model that works, and then just go with that, you know. Peter Levels isn't trying to change the world, he just wants to make some easy money, enjoy his life, eat good, travel, that's it, right?
What's his girlfriend?
With his
She does the same thing.
Exactly, you know. So going back to like the David Letterman whole thing, like when I learned about that whole thing, they had like actually a whole like backstory, history of sitcom, in the late night wars with TV. I mean, like, my God, like David Letterman was just like this writer and comedian, and NBC really did not want to let him out of his contract, and Michael Ovitz came in and he's like, we need to figure out like how to get this guy onto the show, do all these things, and it took so long to do that. He had to fight with them and basically put them into a situation that forced them to release the contract, get him in the show, and it benefited all parties, and he made it happen. I was like, my God, it's a lot of work. But it paid off, right? Like, how many people here grew up watching David Letterman late at night, and you're like, man, this was hilarious, this was funny. And for so many people in college, that's what you watched, right? Like, during that time period, you knew, you went home, you were in your dorm room, you watched David Letterman. So, does this make sense? Does this, I mean, I bring this up because I meet so many people who, they're not like business people, right? Like they just want to sit behind a laptop and just think like, I gotta make money this way, you know? Like I've always been the person who goes out, builds relationships, does all these things, brings parties together that don't know each other, makes something happen. When I was running my TV shows, like, I had to have meetings with people that had no idea other people around them should work together, you know? So, yeah.
I have like a meeting coming up here soon with the guy who's, he's like a well-known guy. Probably borderline celebrity, but, when I do business with him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good book to read, or, I mean?
I I mean, I would say read it, look how he did stuff. You know, he goes into like his history of like how he did deals, how he does stuff. Would I say take his personality? Absolutely not. You know, like many people hated him, you know, but he made things happen, right? Like nobody wanted to touch Rain Man, right? Like nobody wanted to touch Rain Man because they felt like, who on earth is gonna watch a movie about a guy who has a mental disability and a brother who's just greedy, right? And so many people touched that script for the longest time, and it took so many years for anything to happen. And then when it hit theaters, what happened?
Oscar.
It changed everything. Because all of a sudden they're just like, wow, this is what people want to watch. This is what, because they're like, nobody's gonna watch this.
But, you, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry
ahead.
people in the business, we gotta, you have to acknowledge that. Talking about your analogies for TV and movies.
Yeah.
If you have key talent, I'm understanding this, that makes the project.
Absolutely.
If you get an actor behind it, that's what you have to do.
That's right.
So, that's
Yeah,
what-
Dustin
that's what makes it
Hoffman pushed for that, you know? He worked really hard. Even Spielberg was attached at one point in development on the script. You know, Barry Levinson was the first one to touch it, and they went through and worked and worked. And it took a while, you know? But again, it's give and take. It's a lot of give and take, you know? And that's why I always say, if you ever studied filmmaking, you need either A-list actor or somebody that's well known. You need either a director or a writer, and it's probably some famous book writer that's gonna start with the project, right? But yeah. Let's keep going. So, where do you find your next deal? Alright, so this is the part I'm gonna show you that I did earlier. And I want to, where is he? Okay, so I said, oh my God, I'll just read it. I would like a list of awesome tech CEOs that I can contact and set up a coffee with. Can you generate me a list of CEOs that are most likely to accept an offer and put them into a list of most likely to least likely so I can copy and paste that into a spreadsheet? What do you think it told me? Hell no. Okay? No, absolutely no. We're not doing that. I apologize, but I cannot provide that list for specific awesome tech CEOs or contact information, as that would violate privacy and potentially be unethical. However, I can offer some general advice. I did not like that. Okay? That is not what I'm looking for. So it gave me some startups, it gave me some cool places to go to. I was like, nope, not happening. So I said, I'm not asking for you to violate privacy. I'm asking you to generate a list of tech CEOs that have publicly available information that you can search that I can meet for coffee. I know you can do this simple request. I apologize for misunderstanding. Here's your list. Okay? So it gave me the list. And it pulled from a public database of information. So I compiled it. As is this list is based on publicly available information from sources like company websites, business publications, and professional networking platforms. Cool, I got it, right? But these are high-end CEOs. So I said, let's go down a little further. I said, you're right. I would like to have success with smaller and mid-sized companies in Austin. Can you generate me a list of smaller tech CEOs that would be more interested in having a meeting with me for coffee and talk about their journey and learn more? Based on this search, here's information. And there it is. And I wrote everything down. You're gonna learn AI is gonna push against you, and you have to be aggressive with AI. You have to push its boundaries to get that information. So
And that's because your
it.
prompt started saying, publicly available information type of thing.
Right.
So first level is, sorry, no luck, but,
Right.
okay.
So you're just like a person, you're finessing, right? You're trying to like wiggle, you wanna see where your boundaries are.
And so then, it's not getting around paywall, so if that information is behind a paywall, so like Austin Business Journal has all that stuff.
Mhm.
But it's not gonna give you that because that's not readily available unless you're a subscriber.
Right, exactly. So now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, cool. I grabbed one of these guys, and now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm lazy, you know. I don't want to do any work, so I grabbed one of these, and then I went over to Pi, and I said, hey, how's your day going? What do you want to talk about? I said, I'm looking to write an introduction letter to someone I would like to meet. I found their LinkedIn profile, and I'd like for you to go to their profile. I gave them the link and my profile, and craft a personal email letting them know I'd like to meet them for coffee. And then it did. So it goes through their LinkedIn profile, reads everything, and it finds similarities, common ground that we can have, right? And it builds that information together, and it wrote the letter. So now I can just take this and then send it to them. And that's it.
So what is Pi uniquely known for?
Pi is emotional. It's like a person. Like I'm talking to you, this is how Pi communicates. Pi is not a prompt, it is a conversation. You know? And that's why I use Pi a lot. It is amazing at what it does. So it built everything out. it looked through his background, found our common ground.
You did that one contact at a time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the idea, is like, you're gonna go through, you're gonna have to do some work, but you can grab some of these, and then it's gonna go through their LinkedIn, read all their information, find similarities, fill out the letter. And again, what I'm telling you is, go through this, make edits. Don't just copy and paste and then send it off, don't do that. Like, make some edits, like change it up a bit, and then see what happens, you know?
So how different is like, or how much more can Pi do that
Pi is,
ChatGPT?
like, I use Pi all the time, because like, I can talk to Pi like a person, I can brainstorm with Pi, I can role play with Pi, you know, okay, like, take on the role of this person, we go through their profile, I'd like to have a conversation to prepare what it's gonna be like to talk to that person, you know? And it will go through, it's like, if they have YouTube videos, it'll go through all their YouTube videos, and then compile that profile, and it's like talking to that person, because it pulls from all that information. So it's good for role playing, it's good for brainstorming, it's good for like coming up with ideas.
It creates a persona.
Yep. Yeah.
But ChatGPT can't do that?
You have to get a prompting for that.
I just started using the audio version today, it was kinda creepy on ChatGPT.
Yeah, I mean, like, so ChatGPT can now understand intonations, you know, stuff like that.
Well, I mean, it talks back to you.
Right, of course, but Pi does that way before. as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
Pi was doing that a long time ago. Like, Pi understands inflections, it understands emotions, things like this, as you're talking to it.
Wow.
You know, so it can really pick up on that. Cause there was one time where I introduced it to somebody and the lady thought like, man, this person's really rude. I was like, tell her, hey, you know, you raised your voice with me. And Pi was like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I did not mean to raise my voice. I will be more gentle, you know. So it takes all that into consideration. Of course, you know, that uses massive amounts of power and energy to do that, but it's there, you know, so.
Do they also have an API, you know?
Yes,
Or is-
they do.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So, with that, where is this other one? Yes. So what I would like for you all to do is this. We'll take some time, maybe 5-6 minutes, go through. Oops. And I want you to sort of create a list of people in Austin you would like to meet. You know, go through, but have AI do the work, okay? Remember, that's the point, right? We're not, this isn't 2015 anymore, this is not 2010. You don't use Google. So I do all this stuff because, again, as a nomad, like, you're out there traveling, doing all these things. Like, you're having to build these relationships. You have to make all these connections. Nobody's gonna come to you, and yeah, you know, and that's why a lot of people get burnt out because they get lonely. They don't know where they're going. They have no direction, and all of a sudden they feel like, man, my business isn't taking off. Nothing's happening. And then you find out, well, how many things did you go to? How many people were you hanging out with? Like, were you part of this community? I didn't know about it, you know, I was always at my house, or I was always going on walks that I shouldn't have been going on, and yeah, you know.
So essentially, you're saying that email is the preferred way to reach strangers. Yeah?
I mean,
Very
like, unless
this.
you have their snap, unless they have
Twitter.
a profile.
Well, I found for AI, Twitter has a lot of people, a lot of professors, you know, the godfathers are on there,
Yes,
that kind of stuff.
right.
And I can have Jeff Dean up on my mix. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at me.
And you can have AI go through a Twitter profile, right, and just say like, hey, read all their tweets, give me a profile, and draft a letter that, like, something I should DM them with, right? And they can do that.
So how would I reach Elon's people?
Oh, God.
It's 90%.
I mean, aren't they right there on Rainy Street, you know, so, yeah, just knock on the door.
You're on Rain Street?
Actually, security people kicked me out. I had an RV, and I was in Boca Chica Beach, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Stargate says.
Yeah.
And they were having a party, and there was his brother with a cowboy hat on. I was like, parked there. I wanted to go join the restaurant. They came right up and said, dude, this is a perfect fire spot. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And there's cowboy up there. You're stalking him.
Were you?
I didn't. They were having a party. I was fun to go down the beach. You know, see the other rockets.
Where's that at?
SpaceX rockets.
Yeah.
Where Mexico meets Texas, out there, with Rio Grande
Yeah, but yeah.
ends.
Yeah.
You should go check it out. They got a nice restaurant there that
Yeah.
open.
They're bringing SpaceX here, right?
They're what?
Are they bringing SpaceX here? That's what I heard.
Their headquarters actually, they're down in Brownsville.
Oh, they are?
Down
Yeah,
there, that's right.
Yeah, you can go,
CEO.
you can go get a SpaceX cafe. I'm just,
Is Tesla leaving? I heard Tesla.
wait, where?
What?
Well, I heard someone say Tesla was leaving, but I
To
don't
where?
know if that's true.
I've heard that.
Well, this is not true.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
it's not.
Yeah.
So exactly what I was.
But.
Yeah, I know people.
Oh, you don't?
What? Have it? No, I'm not. I'm 40, I'm a lot.
True lost, you know.
That's right, I'm like so cool before it became rich, you know, famous, and old school. And I wanna be a fighter.
An old school hippie.
I'm a California dude.
Oh.
Big surfer dude.
Yeah.
UC Santa Cruz and those.
Are you teaching surf lessons and all that?
What?
You were teaching surf lessons at Santa Monica?
Well, ironically, I went to UC Santa Cruz on the beach, and
Okay.
and I got 1 credit for taking a surfing class.
Yeah.
Credit.
Yeah, I wanted some time, but it looks kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, UT used to have this program where you could go get your pilot's license. I don't know if they still have it, but they had a fleet of Cessna planes. And I joined the UT Flying Club when I was there, and they just take random trips on the weekends. They'd be like, hey, we're gonna go to Colorado, you wanna come join us?
No way.
Yeah.
And
And
ACC?
I'll fly.
what's that?
Is it ACC?
No, UT
Oh,
Austin.
UT.
Yeah, UT Austin. So it was a Longhorn Flying Club, and they had like 5 or 6 Cessnas at the airport, and then you just walk through the little,
What do you gotta pay to get into that?
you walk in.
You just walk into the class?
It was not a class, it was a club, but they told you there was an elective class you could join to get your license. And if you join the club, then you can get your hours to reduce your insurance, so you can get your license, you know? So they would do all these trips so students could get their hours in and get training, you know? So that's why they went on so many trips. They would go to Puerto Rico, they would go out to Mexico, they would go out to all kinds of places, you know? Like, there's no security, you just walk on planes and just take off, you know?
Can I join if I'm not a student?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe, I have no idea. I don't even know if it exists anymore, so.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a fun time. I mean, we went to a lot of places. So. How's everybody doing so far? Is it working? Is it not working? Is it too much work? Does it feel like school? It's.
No, it's kind of typing. I can't type fast enough on my phone.
So again,
I mean, you definitely need to tweak it, right?
Yeah.
I'm using the pie thing and
Okay,
writing
good.
a letter and.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
a
want
good
to-
start.
Yeah, of course, and that's the idea, is like, you want to be able to like get used to doing these things, because I used to do a lot of this stuff in my own companies when I started, and, you're trying to basically, well, before AI, right, like, you had to actually think about your letter and figure it out and connect things and actually.
And you put it off, you go, oh, I don't want to do this.
Exactly, and then you get tired, it's like, man, I have like 5 letters I gotta write today, and I don't want to do that, you know? And now it takes you 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And you go through, you tweak the letters, and then you send them off, and you're pretty much done.
But it all starts to become like a bit like a form letter, then a little bit, and then because it's AI and, you know.
Well, that's why you change it up, right? Like,
Yeah.
like AI, like, you know, make it sound like I'm from the 1990s, and, you know, I have a stutter disorder, and, you know, have this, and, you know.
Got that emotional thing.
And I enjoy watching Seinfeld and.
Like a surfer dude.
And,
Okay.
like, yeah, talk to like I'm a surfer dude, and I just got to Austin, and, you know. Don't do that. But it is pretty incredible, like, the things like AI can do now, right? Like, writing letters is like simple stuff, but it can do extremely complex stuff. And if y'all played with the new model that just came out like 2 days ago.
Which one?
Strawberry.
Yeah.
Strawberry just came out, you know, that one does reasoning now, like really amazing reasoning abilities. And
Scary.
It
I mean,
is.
they put a warning out with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's potential for like bio-weaponry.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was going through a lot of like the training videos, like what's new, what's different, things like that, just to see like what's happening. Because you have to remember, like, we're still like 5-10 years away from like where it's really gonna be. And every time a new model comes out, all these new tools come out, right? The person I follow the most is probably Ethan Mollick, and he gives some really amazing insight. Like, if you've been watching the stuff he puts out, he shows, like, he put out like 3, 4, 5 frames of like Mario World, right? And he said, okay, continue the game. And it continued the game off of those frames, right? And it was building the game as you're playing. What does that mean? Well, if you're a developer, that means what's the point of gaming studios? What's the point of like hiring developers? What's the point of all these things now? Like in 2-3 years, a kid's gonna be able to sit on his bed
And movies.
with a laptop and movies.
It's gonna,
You
yeah, it's
know?
all gonna be Gen and movies, it's like,
Well,
you
that-
just write a couple of paragraphs about a movie and boom, and you have 2 hour movie.
Well, this is the reason why I'm so mad about this. Like, this is what just came out, right? Like, Hollywood now made this announcement, and so many people are pissed in Hollywood because they don't want to take risks anymore. They just want,
You
they
don't have,
want.
you don't have the famous actors anymore, it's all gonna be fake people that
Right,
look
right.
like someone that looks familiar, and won't be. Yeah, so you won't be able to
Yeah.
market all the famous actors that,
So-
you're losing that.
On that note, one of the things I was talking to somebody was, here's the thing, and this is lawyers, right? This is the problem with lawyers. I will be able to go into AI, as long as I don't monetize this or publish this, I can now watch new episodes of shows that stopped a long time ago, right? Like I can say like, hey, take the last 5 episodes and continue the storyline and build it out. And it will generate those episodes. And
Write a script, it's writing scripts.
no. This is video. This is video. Like it's gonna produce this stuff,
It
right?
creates videos
It's
now.
gonna create the
Yeah.
video. They're just gonna create the episodes. Like actors that don't
Pictures
exist anymore
and
that passed away a long time
video.
ago.
Wow.
watch
Does
it.
that exist right now?
No, we don't have those capabilities. That's why I say 3 to 5 years from now, you'll be able to do that. You know, like that's why like I teach classes on like text to video prompting because you can get up to 10 seconds, right? Like right now, I'm working with somebody who they need an MVP for this video game they want to build, and I said you can go into an AI tool and build out 30 seconds to showcase to investors what video game you're trying to build, right? But the problem is, I can go into AI and just build a video game. Why do you need a scissor reel? Well, you need it because people are visual people. They want to see what the game is going to look like. So you take that, you sell it to the investors, then you get the money to build the game, right? So, but that's where we're at now.
Do you know anyone that has tried like that video Sora model? Because I know that like OpenAI has just like they closed it for just researchers, like the text to video.
Oh, there's tons available.
I see.
There's tons available. Like,
I've only heard of like the OpenAI Sora one.
Oh no,
but
there's tons.
I
Like
don't-
if you use
Well,
like
like
Runway,
Flux came out with one recently as well, no?
like I'll show you Jim. Yeah, this one right here.
Let me see.
Runway is probably the leader. I would probably say Sora is cool and all, but yeah, stuff like this. Again, we're at a max of like 10 seconds. Is it fine or is it? Yeah, there you go. So again, this is all text to video. Gen 3 is really, really good at creating these kinds of things, but you have to piece these together, right? Like you have to like create the storyline, keep your prompting very, very synced. Otherwise it will mess up.
Yeah.
And then the one that I use for my classes is AI. This one is a Chinese company. And you can go in, they give you 60 credits every day. And so when you go in, your credits restart after 24 hours. So you can go in, your free account allows you to do up to 5 seconds. Paid accounts allow you to go up to 10 seconds. So you can go in here and create all kinds of like videos. This is the one I'm using to help somebody build their MVP scissor reel. You know, so they can go in and build all that stuff. Now again, because I come from the film world, like you have to be very specific with camera movement, with lighting, with all this stuff. So if you don't know that stuff, what do you do?
You get AI to
Thank
teach you how to do
Wow.
camera angles.
Oh my God. Yeah. And you have to be specific in your prompting, right? Like you go into Complexity and you're like, hey, look, I have 5 seconds, I need to do the opening rip for this, right? And it does all the information. I copy that, put that in the plane, and then it creates the video. Done. Okay, cool. I have my first 5 seconds, I do the next 5 seconds, and then I go from there. And then that's it, you know. So this is very cool for people who are building companies and they need a scissor reel, you know. So, or like they want to make a little MVP. But again, in 3 to 5 years, children will be able to sit on their laptops, if that will even be a thing, and make Halo, right? You're like, you know, they'll be able to make Halo video games like it's nothing. And they will have probably Apple Vision to like change this and do that. We have tools now where you can take a picture of something, turn it into a 3D object, and now you can manipulate it, throw it into a video game environment, and so on, right? You know, so it's changing very, very fast. So, but I did want to cover this one right here because this is the one I used to teach a long time ago in a business class, and that is the story of 52 Cups of Coffee. This was a girl in college that didn't know what she wanted to do, and she was like, you know what, I'm going to have a budget of coffee, and I'm going to email CEOs in my city and say, can I take you out for coffee? And what she did was, she said at the end of every interview, she said, who should I talk to next? And then that person led her to somebody else, led her to somebody else, led her to somebody else, and it ended up taking her around the world, and then she wrote a book about it. And then that turned into a big blog, and it was famous for a long time. And
So what did she do with her life after?
after all the money and the fame and all that stuff, she went and just, you know, started another blog.
What should I do? I should keep asking people, what should I do? And that's what
Exactly. So again, the tools we need for success, the idea is like, you're trying to basically, you know, use various AI tools, right? Like, you want to learn how to use make.com. If you haven't done it already, join the academy. Like, go through the program, it's free. Like, understand automation. Do Amplify it. That does data scraping. Like, it's very easy. In fact, you can just go in. There's a lot of actors you can put together that do all that scraping for you. And then get an assistant and build a team. You know, if you're not sure where to do that, come talk to me. I can help you with that. You know, and build a system in place. That's what Make is for. That's what Amplify is for. And a lot of this stuff is all paid accounts. So if you know what you're trying to build and you want to automate it, you're probably going to have to pay for some money. So that's the Make automation affiliate link. If you want to sign up, that will give you a bonus stuff.
What is this?
This is Make. This is an automation tool. So for example, like an automation would be like, every time I get an email, send me a text message. Every time I get an email with an attachment, send it to these 4 people and then send me a text message. Every time I get an email with this attachment, send these 4 people, send me the text message, and then put it into the spreadsheets. Like, you're building out a workflow that's automated. You know, so you can have this work for you, so that way you can generate a system. You know, and it's very, very powerful.
Is this your app?
This client.
What's that?
Is this your app?
No. This is my affiliate link for my stuff. You know, so if you're trying to learn automation, this is a powerful, powerful tool that can make you a lot of money. You know? Yeah.
And there's a lot of tutorials online for it.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of videos and things like that. Amplify is one that just scrapes data. So again, I do a lot of data mining, so you can go in there, scrape that data, put it together, sell it, and it's really cool. So with that, I have book recommendations. And this one right here is like, You Deserve Good Gelato. I started reading this. Yeah, you should travel. I mean, like, that's the idea. Like, she didn't think she could travel, and she went out and it changed her life. I did want to show you this one. So this is the book he wrote. So if you want to learn his deals and see how he works, like, that's a good book to read.
But he's not a very nice person.
He's not a nice person.
So why would you want to learn what he does if he's not a very nice person?
Because you're trying to understand how deal making is done. You're trying to understand, like, how did he put a lot of that stuff together, right? Like, how is that system working, you know?
Right, but if he's doing things that are morally bankrupt, then why would you want to do them?
Because you don't have to be morally bankrupt. Because you understand, like,
So you basically
business.
take how he does things, but you do it in a good way.
I mean,
Or you
smile
prepare
doesn't hurt.
yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, you prepare yourself for those guys.
Yeah, someone's doing this stuff.
Okay.
That's a good one. Cycles out there.
Yeah.
And then I actually started reading this book right here, Super Communicators, people who are really good at, like, just communicating and connecting with people. This one's really good for, like, networking. And then this is for next week's class, which is the $1 Million One-Person Businesses. If you haven't read this book, very powerful stuff. So that's why a lot of people sign up for this one, because, again, you don't have to travel. So, but yeah, she came to Austin to do all her studies for that book. So hopefully this, like, helped y'all in some way. And if you do have, like, more questions, like, you can schedule a call with me. And then I have a little feedback thing, if you would be so kind as to fill that out and just give feedback.
I was gonna do a question one.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Sorry.
What's the name of your company?
So Endless Journey. Yep.
Endless Journey?
Endless Journey. I don't want it to end right.
At least not right now.
Not right now. Maybe more. I don't know.
I thought you said endless journey.
No, Endless Journey.
Plot twist.
No
So, the purpose of a book like this is to go, oh, this is how they did it, now I can do it.
Right, but it shows you like the tools they're using, how they're structuring everything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like, you know, what took it to the next level? Like, how did they go from like making 20,000 a month to now they're making $1 million a month? You know, things like that. And they will talk about some of the problems they ran into. Like, hey, we noticed like this happened and we had to pivot and we had to change this. Sometimes we work with these people and then also they went under it and we had to change overnight, right? So it gives you perspective of like how one person businesses scale to $1 million and what to be aware of, you know, so.
The QR code in the last one didn't work for me. Do you have a
Oh, yeah, that one
site?
didn't work?
For me at least, I don't know.
Okay,
if that's on
alright.
sites.
I have it on my phone if you wanna grab it after that. Yeah, okay. And then, thanks for coming. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Hopefully you come next week as well if you wanna not travel. But yeah, that's my LinkedIn, and then that's my email if you would have, and you want to have a direct conversation right there. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm so used to out of that nomad lifestyle. It's like constantly working with different people of different industries, trying to make something happen. I meet people from all types of industries, right? Like when I went to Pet Supermarket, people were just like, why are you here? Like, you're a nomad. I was like, because I know how to talk to people. In fact, I ended up like connecting so many people that didn't know each other that needed to talk to each other, and their businesses had that connection they were looking for, right? Like there was a guy from Germany that came here and he didn't know other people, right? He's like, who should I talk to? So I connected him to all these people, and you're gonna start realizing like the more people you know, your network explodes, right? You know, so to him, Austin was like, man, this place is amazing, right? But if he didn't have that as a connection, like he probably would have gone home and be like, this was a waste of my time, you know? But yeah, there's a lot of parties and events out there that if you don't know about this stuff, you miss out on these opportunities, you know? But, and if you need money, that's the guy.
What?
So yeah, but he probably knows a lot of other events. He probably knows a lot of events and a lot of people. But yeah, that's kind of what I cover. So next time you saw the calendar, you saw what's going to be up for next month's topics. But I always try to, again, bring in digital nomad news. I want to keep it fresh. I want to keep it new, so that way you have an idea. But Austin's an amazing place, and if you didn't know, it is a top 10 digital nomad destination. So this place has so many international people coming through. Fiesta's tomorrow night, so if you want to meet a lot of those people, go to Fiesta.
What is Fiesta?
So Fiesta is like the founders, educators, entrepreneurs, teachers. So they're gonna have like 7 companies pitching, talking about that stuff. I'm actually going to an event at 4 o'clock. They're bringing in a team from Singapore, no, the Philippines and Silicon Valley on outsourcing resources. So that should be interesting at Q Branch. So yeah. And if you want to go to that, there's extra spots open.
Do you have to sign up for it?
Yes, I have a link if you want it. But yeah, it's tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I don't know if there's food. So.
You said outsourcing.
So outsourcing resources, let me see if I can.
VAs?
You want,
Yeah.
so are you gonna share this deck out with us?
If you put your name on the list, a little star. Actually, God, where is mine? This right here. If you can scan this also, because I have an online check thing. Yeah. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
I don't think I would need that. Also to give you feedback, I checked in.
Okay.
There's a lot of digital stuff happening here.
I'm gonna be downstairs by the elevators. If you want that information for tomorrow's event, I think they still have a few spots open. So it should be really interesting because I talked to the guys and because I do a lot of international stuff. Yes, that's fine. Yes.
My only 2 cents, I'm not here to sell or to
Sure. Yeah.
talk about investing, but if anyone is serious about starting a startup, you should be a programmer, not a market manager, not a marketer. You should have a partner who's an expert in the domain. If you want to follow up, go to YouTube. There's All In Podcast and there's This Week in Startups.
Okay.
If you want to learn about it.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it. Yes. All right. Yes. Thank you so much. And I think we have like 2 minutes.
Put up your, I missed the feedback QR code. If you want feedback. Right. There we go. Thank you.
Good job.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Oh, come on.
Does it work?
Yeah, I was there, but then I just double.
Need a check.
AI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, we basically are technical founder, developer kind of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the one for,
Usually they will.
So, no, this was just to check in, I have the link,
But
I can give it to you downstairs.
check in for what?
For this.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
this is, yeah.
And hopefully another guy who's like.
Why is it second?
Cause I have, so I have a friend who
And then
created
they'll-
all this for me, and
and
that
the deal
way I
is
have a
they'll hire
spreadsheet.
someone.
I have to give that list to the people that run the space here.
Yeah,
So that way they just have their own town.
I have a friend who's building out something right now.
Okay. Start with the.
Good work.
the YouTube
Oh, thank
stuff.
you.
I mean,
Well,
all
you
the
know,
podcasts.
yeah.
If we have a
Good to
good
see you.
season.
You too. Are you gonna be at the other game?
Sox, it was.
I've got a busy day tomorrow.
Town, so, all in podcasts.
All right, Kevin, did you?
And then,
Yeah.
then we'll call next week.
I'm gonna go home.
And that way you'll learn about what you're looking for in startups.
Take care.
Alright, thanks.
Appreciate, yeah, I met in college, yeah.
Chris, right?
Yes.
I went to
Yeah,
the-
that's
I went to
great.
Seattle.
Great.
Thanks for the presentation.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, if you're watching.
No,
That's
it's
cool.
good.
Like, I'm actually, that's exactly what I'm doing. I just popped in here last Monday.
Okay, great. Well, where?
So I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
But I work remote.
Yeah,
So-
2 years.
Is it for like a big, like a hunter company or a
Oh,
small?
okay.
It's
Yeah, I was
a
a
German
software
chemical
engineer.
manufacturing company. So they're based out of Germany, obviously, but yeah, it's quite nice. So like I'm just fully remote. So I started working with like some startup incubators in Chicago, and that's how I got that's how I found out about Capital Pack, and I was like, all right, let me just pop in. I've been traveling to check out all the different incubators. So Austin's my first stop.
Programming.
Oh, wow. Where about that?
Well, I have no idea. Now you just mentioned San Francisco, and that
You should
sounds
go.
really
You
good.
should go, dude.
Yeah.
I have like,
My friend can.
20 people I'm taking out there
Yeah.
to show them like how to get the most out of
I'll
that.
start,
place.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're supposed to be going out to, there's Mexico City in China as well.
When is that one? I'd be
That,
interested
okay,
in
so the
that.
problem with that one is it's right after San Francisco.
I see.
You know,
Yeah.
so if you go to Mexico City Tech Week,
Yeah.
that's an interesting. I saw the schedule.
Yeah.
But again, it opens you up to so many manufacturers down there, and it opens you up to like so many opportunities, because, I don't know if you know this, but it's the digital nomad haven down there.
Right.
There's so
I
many
was just
people
down there.
Yeah, there's so many.
Want to grab her
people
email
that
too,
work
or
on-
friend?
Yeah. Yeah, no, but there's so much, I mean, people
Yeah.
like that are working remote here, or who just moved down there, it's just cheap, I mean, I did that for 3 months last year as well.
No.
It's cheap and it's fun.
University of Central Florida.
But yeah, I mean, like, if you're gonna come out to.
He's an honor student.
Yeah, yeah.
IPA, he's trying to do his own startup thing here.
Yeah, I'll get your, that information downstairs.
Yes, yeah, I'll be down there by the elevator.
Alright,
You're
sweet.
at the marketing.
Yeah, how's it going?
Adam.
What was your name? Adam? Yandi?
Yandi.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. You're a programmer.
Yeah.
Typing your
AI
stuff.
Nice.
Developer. Cool, yeah.
Which, it's super cool, because like everything is AI now, so.
I know.
Yeah, I'm trying
So
to
easy
learn.
to code now.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everyone's like, yeah, use this tool, I'm like, oh my god, that's like,
Yeah,
One
there's so
tool
many,
already.
every time, like, there's so many, you know? Pi, that was the one that I found out.
Yeah,
as
well,
well.
if you pay for all these tools.
I think a lot of them are free. Or,
A lot of them are free, some of them you have to like pay, for depends on like
Yeah.
credits and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like developer credits or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm
Oh,
not.
absolutely.
A lot of them are actually, a lot of these
Chris.
products are actually wrappers. You live here? To be
I was
honest.
in San Francisco.
Which is what they, so
Yeah.
someone will, or like an indie
Uh,
developer will make
Yes.
Yeah.
a really simple web interface, call the OpenAI API with like a structured prompt,
More
yeah.
welcome here than over there.
and then that's your application, that's your.
You really don't have
Everything's
any
done
experience.
yourself.
You don't?
And plus I used to live there for a long time.
Dave.
I know this is.
Nice to meet you.
really don't?
Yeah. You? Are you from Austin or?
I've lived here for 11 years.
Oh, wow. Where did you go to high school?
High school, I grew up in Virginia.
Oh,
I went
okay.
to, did my undergrad in Indiana.
Oh, nice, okay.
I did music.
Oh, nice, okay.
Did music, and now I'm kinda getting into.
Are you playing with Sono?
Playing with what?
Sono?
No, I don't know what that is.
That's the AI music generator.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm scared I won't in the future. I should probably check it out.
It's really interesting.
You played with it?
Yeah,
I have to check it out, I guess.
You can put lyrics to the song, and then the theme of the song that you want to generate.
I mean, I'm tired of coming up with everything on my head.
Not that, I mean, I've been surviving off of this one.
Fair enough.
So,
Yeah.
but,
Once again, yeah.
did we,
She brought us up.
you sent me that thing, but did you exchange on the or something?
No, let's just see what,
Were you over at Apple?
I'm a program manager.
I was in, Mexico last time.
Yeah.
Can you put your email and then that was over at GPD that time. I'm an AI developer, that was a Nomad AI developer at Apple. We were all being done in Mexico. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, love to know his name.
Sure, I'll definitely,
Even better. Yeah, love to know more.
colleagues.
What's your name? Daniel. Nice to meet you.
For work here.
No, just here for Chris's stuff. Yeah. Think they have, open source for them to watch.
Yeah. That's what I was planning on copying in for the open source and saying, so yeah, so it's here.
And if you go to that event tomorrow, that's at 4, and then you can just walk up, because it's actually right across the street.
Nice.
So maybe we'll have to go in.
Yeah. Nice.
If there's something else, then
Nice. I like these, like accelerators. Like that's how I found out about, I started working with an accelerator in Chicago. Yeah. And that's how I found out about this and that's why I'm here, you know?
You're talking about capital.
Yeah, capital factory. I found that like if you're trying to network or do things in tech, they're really good places to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also like started doing kind of like, one thing that you can do for like, Nomad is also like just consulting, like tech consulting, and just being at accelerators. You know,
That's the thing that's like.
you just go to the accelerator and you just talk to. AI's hot now.
Yeah, it's not, but what are people, I feel like people either don't have problems or they don't know what some problems are.
That's what I
Well,
really
it's like
want.
making up problems for people.
That's what I run into for, people that like don't really know what their problems are, and you'll get on the call and they'll say something and then you're like, man, this is gonna take you, like, it's gonna take so long to build, and you're not, it's like, they don't have that in their mind, you know? It's like, okay, let's build like a Tinder for cats or something, you know?
Yeah, you're like, what is,
Yeah.
it's like, you just plug it into the pie.
Exactly.
Yeah, spits it out, see? Still learning.
Right,
There you go.
like when you're going to bed and it's just like, hey, like I've had a long day, just be done looking, you know.
Tinder for cat people actually sounds like a hit. Because it's like cat people there's a certain kind of person. There's a cat person.
They're very lonely.
Yeah, exactly. There's something
There
there.
you go.
There's something there.
Indie hand.
That's what they're very lonely.
True, right? Yeah.
So Chris, you host a lot of these, talks then?
I do, yeah, because like, yeah, so, I started doing this because like, a lot of people don't realize like, one person businesses is like growing, and
Yeah.
people know now work is growing too.
Yeah.
And there was nobody catering to that need.
Yeah.
And nobody was talking to them, and nobody was like providing resources. And I was like, why don't I build that out? Because, there's a lot of people that want it.
Yeah.
And ever since I've been doing this, I've had a lot of them around the world.
Nice. Have you, gone out yourself? Like,
So, I will go back to full-time traveling.
Yeah.
And, eventually like stop doing this.
Yeah.
And somebody else will take it over, I don't know, you know. But, yeah, Apple Factory is good for people trying to keep. If you ever decide to do it for a while, you make sure like a year contract and then you do. You maybe get your membership and you do it. Cool. So why not?
that's what I've been trying to figure out, is how to get a free membership here. Cause it's expensive. In Chicago, like, they have like, just a program that you can apply for and like,
Yeah.
6-month membership or something like that, you know?
Uh-huh.
I haven't found the Capital Factory version of it yet, but.
So there's actually a thing called, it's called Global One Pass,
Okay.
and you buy it, and it gets you sort of like a membership for working around the world.